All right. Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of the Easy Game Radio podcast. I am AJ. Got a couple good things to walk through and talk through today. So I'll be bringing you up to speed on this last weekend's PGA event in Mexico. Quick look back at the TGL triple header that we had on President's Day. Want to talk about the upcoming majors and who is who. What do I think about the field showing up there? Augusta is right around the corner. So the TGL on President's Day, guys, I gotta admit, we had a TGL event and a day that didn't totally suck. Finally, it was nice to watch it and enjoy the golf that was being played and not just trying to find fault with it or having it just thrown right in your face. One of the big changes was the hammer rule changed. Teams now start with multiple hammers and can throw them over and over again. It doesn't have that whole win it back kind of thing. And I thought it was a good change. I think it made it way more competitive. It seemed like teams were more willing to take a risk by using the hammer, knowing that they wouldn't lose it and possibly not get it back. And I got to respect the TGL as a league for making a change, modifying what was an obvious need. Doing it, after the season starts, kind of sketchy. If the rule had existed from the start, probably would have seen some different outcomes for the previous weeks. But hey, I respect the fact that they made a change. So triple header on President's Day. I really liked it. I was hiding out from the cold. There was nothing to do, nowhere to go with our weather in Middle Tennessee. So I watched every single round, including the Tuesday round. And Monday was outstanding. Tuesday was terrible. Tuesday was still trash. Tiger Woods and Jupiter Lynx, that team, they almost seem like the comedic relief of TGL. There was a hole where Tiger Woods, he went to go get his read, and I forget what the actual distance was, but it's common in golf where if you're 184 yards out, you will say 84. It's known that you are outside of 100 yards. And so somebody gave him a distance and said 84 to imply that it was 184, and he legit played it to 84. The reaction was great. Tom Kim was laughing at him. You kind of see Tom Kim doing the whole, don't laugh at Tiger Woods, don't laugh at Tiger Woods, and then he just lost it. But Tiger Woods said it was the most embarrassing moment of his entire professional career. But either way, Jupiter Lynx is just, they're not good. Kevin Kisner looked a little bit better, but it was still a landslide on Tuesday. It made it way less enjoyable to watch versus Monday. I think that the full swing launch monitor data is still very flawed. I'm sure there's a software developer right now just working their tail off, trying to fix that algorithm and that integration that they've built for full swing. I think that the players are intentionally biting their tongues when those shots are produced on the screen and they know that it's not right. They all kind of have that look like they're about to curse out what just happened and they know that it wasn't right. But just imagine where Tiger Woods, the guy, is the man that started this league. He's a financial backer in the full swing launch monitor itself. You're probably going to think twice about just popping off the first thought that you have in your head as you watch your full swing shot not read correctly. So there's a round tonight. We've got Los Angeles versus New York. One notable thing about tonight that will at least keep me motivated to tune in and watch, we will see the debut of Tony Finau. He's got 2 missed cuts this season already on the tour, but he also has a 13th, 15th, and 5th place finish this year. He's sitting at a cool $1.5 million in earnings for the season. And then tomorrow is Boston versus Atlanta. Got Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley in the lineup, paired with his teammates Rory and Hideki. Then Atlanta is bringing Justin Thomas, who had an absolute beaut, drama-making chip-in during Monday's triple header. He'll be joined by Patrick Cantlay and Billy Horschel. So again, tomorrow is Boston Common and Atlanta. I really want to stop being a hater on TGL. I'm still watching it all the time, and the good moments are great. They are on to something there. It's a nice distraction. No Monday Night Football. I'm not a huge basketball fan with March Madness coming around, and my love for the Auburn Tigers. It's a good March Madness season for me, but I'm not hogging the TV from my wife and daughter to watch March Madness, but I will still hog it for TGL. It's a nice little break, and I get to have dibs on the TV. Finally turn off Bluey or Wicked. This weekend, the PGA Tour was at the Danza Vallarta for the Mexico Open, and it was a pretty exciting finish for what was a pretty bland field. I'm sorry for all the guys that did show up into the field, but the overall world rankings, they weren't there on this one. The highest ranked player in the field was Maverick McNeely, who we talked about last week. He came in ranked at 27th, and that was your top-ranked player going into Mexico. So not exactly the best showing from the PGA Tour professionals, but it did feature Netflix full swing darling Joel Damon, who we all love. He had an outstanding finish, tied for 6th. And then Blaze Brown, Nashville youngster. He makes his first cut as a tour pro, his second overall. He made a cut last year as an amateur at the Myrtle Beach Classic, but he finished in Mexico, tied for 34th. Last year when he made that cut as an amateur, he finished 26th. So still looking for kind of his real breakthrough finish after making a cut. But this also means that Blade got his first paycheck as a tour pro. As you know, if you don't make the cut on the tour, if you're not playing Saturday and Sunday, you're not making any money on the tour. So his career earnings now sit at $35,000. Congrats, Blades Brown. I think I'm going to make this a thing on the show now where I'll do like the Blades bank tracker just so I can remind myself that a 17-year-old is out there making money playing golf, and I'm sitting here talking about it for free. So for the Mexico Open, we had a Sunday playoff. Brian Campbell, who is a University of Illinois grad, he's been grinding on the tour for 10 years, has never had a win. And South African Aldrich Potgieter, they finished tied at 20 under at the end of Sunday regulation, leading to a sudden death playoff, which would be played on the 18th hole, a par 5. First playoff hole, both players make par, and then on the second playoff hole, things get funky. Brian Campbell's tee shot on the second playoff hole just veers off right into the trees. Clearly looks like it's going out of bounds, not going to be recovered. And sure enough, members bounce. That ball kicks into the rough. He is now 94 yards behind Potgieter's drive, but Campbell manages to reach the green in 3. He sinks his birdie putt from just inside 4 feet, and he secures his PGA Tour victory, first one ever. So now with his win, he will now be given entry into the Masters, the Players, and the PGA Championship. So congrats to Brian Campbell. It's pretty cool. He's only made 10 cuts in 27 events, and he's been on the tour since 2015. He's never had a finish in the top 10. So he's kind of one of those examples, top professional pro golf. A lot of people don't ever think about it, don't ever see it, never even knew who Brian Campbell was before this weekend. But this man's been out there doing it for 10 years already, and just that's got to have just an amazing feeling. His competitor on Sunday, Aldrich Potgieter, 20 years old, South African kid. He was looking for his first ever PGA Tour title. He led the tournament through 54 holes, and his performance on Sunday kind of leads into my observations overall. Potgieter is an absolute beast off the tee. He was hitting 190-mile-an-hour ball speeds off the tee, which is just obnoxious. When he was on the Corn Ferry Tour, he was the driving leader. On Saturday in Mexico, he was averaging 329 yards driving off the tee. And just some perspective on that, Rory McIlroy has season averages of about 320 to 326 yards over the last few seasons. So a 20-year-old is already pushing that ball out further than the PGA Tour driving champion in Rory. But Aldrich's short game was terrible. He had a brutal bogey on the par 3 ninth on Sunday that let his lead slip, and he just kind of looks just inconsistent. And then, of course, Brian Campbell's tee shot on the second playoff hole. This looked like if one day me and my buddies all of a sudden, took the magic pill that put us on the tour next week, being able to hit the ball pretty far, but then rip one off into the woods and get a lucky bounce out and still make birdie, being able to drive the absolute piss out of the ball, but then not having the short game to clean up par threes like that. That's how we played golf, actually. So it made for an exciting Sunday. I only watched the afternoon finishing holes. I was watching the main feed on CBS, but the playoff was exciting, and it was cool to hear about Brian Campbell's story. So the PGA is now entering its Florida swing. We finished up in California. You have this kind of in between in Mexico, where a lot of the marquee players are not showing up, but now we go to the big events. We've got the Cognizant Classic at PGA National in Palm Beach, followed by the Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill in Orlando, where Scotty Scheffler won last year, and then followed by the Players at Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra, also won by Scotty last year. This time last year is when we saw Scotty become the just absolute lethal weapon that he is now, and the majors are coming. Augusta, April 10th, PGA at Quail Hollow, May 15th, U.S. Open, June 12th at Oakmont, and the Open Championship, July 17th at Royal Portrush, Northern Ireland. And then you get some bonus golf too, because this year is a Ryder Cup year. Got to give a shout out to my buddies Brian and JR, who are going to the Ryder Cup. They invited me. I had to decline this time, but next Ryder Cup, we're going. So big things ahead. When you look back at the 2024 majors, Scotty won the Masters. Xander won the PGA and the Open. Bryson won the U.S. Open. He had that amazing shot out of the bunker that set up his birdie to win. Rory had what was considered just this massive meltdown. He lost a 2-stroke lead with 4 holes remaining. He had that brutal missed putt and ended up losing by 1 stroke to Bryson. Rory been on this decade-long drought now, but he's playing phenomenal golf so far this year. Rory started off the season really well. He's already got $3.9 million in earnings in this season, just as we've started. But it's been 10 years since he won that major back at 2014 PGA at Valhalla, just like we had last year in 2024. And I'd be pretty confident to bet that Rory would be the one to get back this year's $4 million in earnings just to get that 10-year major monkey off his back. And also pretty cool that we've got a major in Northern Ireland. Kind of feels like a home field advantage for Rory. Xander, still working through his rib injury. He withdrew from the Amex and the Farmers this year, saying that he wants to return at the Arnold Palmer, as well as play at the Players and the Masters. It'd be impressive to see him come back and not be rusty. Scotty looks good, as he always does. Looks like he's still maybe shaking off some of the rust from his wine glass incident over the holidays. He's already at almost $2 million winning this year. And then Bryson, just doing his thing over on the Live Tour. I think he's got to be seen as a contender in any of the majors, but he has never won at any of these courses where the 2025 majors are going to be played. His best finish at Augusta is tied for 21st. He had a top 10 at Quail Hollow in 2021. He finished tied for 9th. And then he had a 15th place finish at Oakmont in the 2016 U.S. Open. Last time the Open Championship was at Portrush in Northern Ireland, he actually missed the cut, and his best Open Championship finish was in 2022 at St. Andrews. So he can play some golf overseas. He finished 8th in 2022. So that'll wrap up today's Easy Game Radio update. Check out our full-length episode 2 on Spotify. It's on YouTube as well. We're getting ready to have our first major of the year up in Lancaster, Kentucky. 3 days, 4 rounds. Got 4 guys going. It'll be a good time. I drafted out a format for the weekend that it'll be a little bit of best ball, a little bit of high-low, but it'll be fun. I'm hoping that the weather holds out. I hope the course is in good shape as we're getting out of winter. My home course right now was underwater last weekend. We had nasty flooding in Tennessee, and our front nine's probably going to be shut down all week. But it's starting to warm up again. I'm off work this week, so I'm going to go play some golf. So yeah, look for that. We'll probably do a final preview for an episode 3 before we head up to Kentucky for our weekend. But go ahead, give us a follow on Instagram, Spotify. Find the podcast on Apple. It's also on YouTube. but appreciate all the support. Hope you guys have a great week.
Thanks for listening. Remember to visit us at easygameradio.com, follow us on Instagram, Easy Game Radio, and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.